Chance for the Steelers. Bradshaw trying to get away. And his pass is broken up by Tatum. Tipped off. Franco Harris has it. And he's over. What? Franco Harris grabbed the ball on a deflection. 5 seconds to go. He grabbed it with 5 seconds to go and scored.
Let's watch this again.
1 million to 1 odds on this one.
Watch this, Ricochet. Ricochet out there off of Jack Tatum and into the man of the year, Franco Harris's hands.
When you talk about Christmas miracles, here's the miracle of all miracles. Watch this one now. Bradshaw's lucky to even get rid of the ball. He shoots it out. Jack Tatum deflects it right into the hands of Harris. And he sets off, and the big 230-pound rookie slipped away from Warren and scored.
Good evening, everybody. This is Steel Sermon. Thursday night in the house with another video. My Week 16 preview between the Las Vegas Raiders and the Pittsburgh Steelers. As always, do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Instagram and on Twitter. Links are posted in the box down below. If you saw that beginning, which I'm pretty sure you did, otherwise you probably wouldn't be watching this video. We all know the circumstances, and I actually had a hype video out more for this week, but considering the circumstances, this preview is going to be a little bit more somber as the NFL world and the city of Pittsburgh and a very blessed and classy family has lost a true icon, a true class act, and a great family member and friend and football player all in general, in Franco Harris yesterday morning on December 21st, 2022, as Franco tragically passed away at the age of 72 years old. Coincidentally enough, he was known for the Immaculate Reception, which happened in 1972, and not so coincidentally, tomorrow, Friday, will be the 50th anniversary of it, and we play the very opponent that it happened against, the Raiders, on Saturday. That was going to be the premise of this game, but now it hits even harder for Steeler Nation, as we not only honor Franco Harris and retire his number, making him the third Steeler to officially have his jersey number retired, right along with Ernie Stautner and the guy whose jersey I'm wearing right now, in Mean Joe Green. But we now honor his life and the person he was, the player he was, and just an overall wonderful humanitarian that he was. It's going to hit heavy, and I really wish that I could be on the stream with Steel Twins this week. But, you know, with me, Christmas Eve is very important to me. As you know, I am Italian on my mother's side, so us Italians, we celebrate Christmas Eve real big. So there's that. But getting on to this game. You take a look at the Las Vegas Raiders. We're both 6-8. They have been a thorn in our side for quite some time, right along there with the New England Patriots. I vividly remember when I became a fan of the Steelers back in 2002. That Week 2 game in Rich Gannon's MVP season where they stomped us 30-17, I believe the final score was, in Pittsburgh, I knew that this franchise was going to give us a hard time, and they have. Mike Tomlin has only beaten the Raiders twice in his career as a head coach. Twice. And taking into account all the years the Raiders have been awful, and the years that we've been a Super Bowl contender, and even a Super Bowl champion, it's pretty pathetic. I'm just going to say that. But it just goes to show you, the rivalry between these two goes all the way back to the 1970s. And it's been relevant ever since then. Whether the Raiders are in Oakland, whether they're in Los Angeles, or even now whether they're in Las Vegas. The Raiders will always be an adversary to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Currently, the Raiders have gotten off to a terrible start. They got off to a 2-7 start to the year. And when Derek Carr cried in that press conference after losing to Jeff Saturday's Indianapolis Colts, they have quickly turned their fortunes around, taking 4 out of their previous 5, and they are now 6-8. Granted, I still don't think they'll make the playoffs because they lost too many games, but the Raiders seem to have some newfound life in them, mainly because of the guy who they have in the backfield and Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs this year has had a phenomenal year. He leads the league in rushing. He averages 143 yards on the ground when the Raiders win, less than 80 in losses. And with this rush defense being so up and down this year with no in between, you got to figure that this rush defense is going to have their hands full all Saturday night long. So that's the number one thing that I am the most concerned about with Vegas in this game. How are we going to be able to stop Josh Jacobs? You know, that just seems to be the bread and butter of their offense. Although I will give Derek Carr respect, okay? I think Derek Carr is one of the quarterbacks, if not the quarterback in the league, that is the most disrespected. I don't think he'll ever be elite. I don't think he'll ever be great, but he finds ways to win. He finds ways to get it done. He's had bad coaches for years. He's had bad defense for years, and he gets the most out of his weapons. And Derek Carr has a knack for putting on a great game. And I don't think most of these losses are particularly his fault. He may not be the most perfect quarterback in the league, but he is certainly capable of leading a team to a win. And I think the Raiders ought to lock that guy up long term because I think he is more than capable of being their franchise quarterback. He hasn't played great per se, but he gets the job done, and he gets the job done well enough in order for Vegas to win. And that's what it really boils down to at the end of the day if you're a fan of the Raiders. You take a look at a guy like Darren Waller. Darren Waller's had a great year for him as well, and going along with Hunter Renfrow and, of course, the big one, Davante Adams, who they got in the offseason. But Davante Adams has been kind of slumping lately. He hasn't been playing amazing, but still, he's had a great year in Vegas so far. Over 1,200 yards receiving, I believe. He's had a really good year. So, you look at this Raider team, and you're thinking to yourself, wow, this is a pretty good team. This is a pretty good offense. How are they 6-8? The reason they're 6-8 is because of their defense. The Raiders' defense has let them down so many times this season, and that's why they've blown multiple 17-point leads this year, outside of the fact that Josh McDaniels is just not a really good head coach. But the reason that they are so up and down this year is because of the defense. They have allowed a lot of running backs to shine through this year, and they have allowed a lot of running backs to have good games and a lot of wide receivers to have solid games as well. And with the way George Pickens and Deontay Johnson performed this past Sunday against the Carolina Panthers, I think that is something that the Pittsburgh Steelers ought to be doing for Saturday night. Get those two involved, and I'll get to that in my keys to victory in a little bit. So that's the deal with Vegas. You look at us. As I mentioned, our rush defense is very up and down this year. Our pass defense is not great, but not terrible. It's respectable at 13th. But we are dead last in yards per catch this season, which is where I think the Raiders are going to utilize Davante Adams. So that's something to look out for as well. Can we cause a turnover? I believe we can. But it's not going to happen if you keep having Terrell Edmunds play on man-to-man. As I said in my Victory Monday video, get him in the box because good things happen there. Rush defense. Keep up the work. Larry Ogunjobi had a solid game on Sunday. Alex Highsmith, a guy who I think we need to extend, had a really good game against Carolina. We halted that Panthers rush game dead in their tracks, and they've been high on that run game the entire season, at least since Matt Rule went away. So there you have it with that. That's why the Raiders are 6-8. But the reason that we're 6-8, being able to tolerate, an up and down defense for us is the offense. Kenny Pickett is cleared to play for this game, and I have no doubt in my mind that he'll play Saturday night. But it's just, once again, it comes down to game planning, game scheming, play calling, and just lack of execution. Deontay Johnson coming off a solid game against the Carolina Panthers, but he has been very disappointing all season. George Pickens, when he's gotten catches this year, a lot of good things have happened with him. And he had a lot of really good catches against the Carolina Panthers. You take a look at Najee Harris. I'm not much of a conspiracy theorist, all right? But I will say this. Franco Harris was 72 years old when he passed away yesterday. Coincidentally, as I said, the Immaculate Reception happened in 1972, which is 50 years ago tomorrow. What's 72 minus 50? 22. Who's number 22 on the Pittsburgh Steelers? Najee. And what's Najee's last name? Harris. My key to victory here is to have all-out offense in this one. Get everyone involved. But the person that I want to see get involved the most on this offense, Najee Harris. Najee, if you are to have the best game of your young career so far, this is the matchup. This is the game. Take advantage of every opportunity Vegas gives you. Whether you're down by 14 or up by 14, feed the rock, because that's how we beat Carolina on Sunday. Whether it's Kenny Pickett or Mitch Trubisky starting, it don't matter who. You got to keep the ball out of their hands, because Kenny still may not be 100% in this game, dealing with concussion problems. And we all know what a garbage can Mitch Trubisky is. Keep the ball out of the quarterback's hands. Get your run game involved. In order to beat this Raider team on offense, you got to fight fire with fire here. They're going to run the ball down your throat. You run the ball down their throat. If it even means getting a running back by committee type of game here with getting Jalen Warren involved, that works too. Do whatever you need to do to win this game. And I'm not talking about a kind of game where Najee, couple good bursts right here, a couple good chunks of yards right here. What I'm talking about with Najee Harris in this game, I want him to crack 100 in this game. Because how did the Pittsburgh Steelers succeed on offense back in the 1970s? Hot Tub Time Machine Saturday night. How did the Steelers succeed on offense in the 1970s? The run game. Franco Harris was the rock, right? 91 touchdowns for him. Over 12,000 rushing yards. And while Franco Harris may not have been the type of running back that can explode on the dime right there, he was a steady steam engine in the backfield who picked up yards. And if Najee Harris can mimic any type of running back in NFL history, I think he can mimic Franco Harris. He may not have Franco's toughness. He may not have his physique. But Najee does something that Franco did. And that was pick up steady chunks of yards. But in this one here, I want this to be the game for Najee Harris. Because Lord knows, with 65,000 plus at Heinz Field this Saturday night. And you can bank on Steeler alumni being in that game as well, because it's a historic moment Saturday night that they're going to see that with this guy we took out of Alabama, and Josh Jacobs knows all about Najee Harris. He was the second string running back down in Alabama with Najee Harris. Lord knows that, hey, the Steelers took this guy in the first round of 2021 for a reason. That's what I want to see Saturday night. So it's Raiders-Steelers. It's not must-watch. It's not, oh, man, you know, it's the Raiders and the Steelers. It's the Clash of the Titans. It's a matchup of two proud franchises that have a long history with one another, playing on a very historic day with heavy emotions flying through. Pittsburgh Steelers, I was pretty mad at you when you lost to the Baltimore Ravens. I won't be a pretty happy camper if you blow this game Christmas Eve, because now this matchup means so much more than you'll ever know, whether you're aware of it or not. Get the job done Christmas Eve, and do not disappoint your fans, and do not disappoint Franco Harris. Get it done, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Instagram and on Twitter. Links are posted in the box down below. Steel Sermon. Check it on out for the night. Merry Christmas, everybody.